doing bad things to you. See, it shouldn't be what do I have to hide. It's what does a government, you know, I was years ago reading in history about it, but also my mom was telling me about it. She's reading The Devil's Disciples, big thick tome on the Nazis. And it was about how Hermann Goering had the first systems to spy on everybody lifetime. You know, the FBI in the 30s had it where they would have the operators all on payroll listening into your conversations when they could, or watching certain phone numbers at the switchboard. No. How Hermann Goering was busy spying on the Nazis themselves to be able to blackmail them and stuff. See, when private corporations like Google and Yahoo and Microsoft are spying on everybody, as it's come out in the U.S. and in Europe, then they can be blackmailed. That information can be handed off to client groups and, hey, minister, we know about your mistress. You're going to vote the way we want. By the way, we'll give you some more contracts for your private business. They'll be either we give you money, a carrot, for selling out your people, or we release the fact that you've got a male or female mistress. Now, what is it going to be? You see. And then the minister or the governor, in the case of New York, says, well, I'll blow the whistle on you. And they say, we've got everybody. You're not going to blow the whistle on anybody. And if you give us a problem, we'll crack you over the head and put you in solitary confinement. See, what happens in a society when everything gets to that point? You get a Soviet Russia. You get a Maoist China. You get a Nazi Germany. See, folks, a lot of people, good old boys, think corruption's cute. I talked to a lot of them that are, you know, quasi-successful, make a few $100,000 or even $1 million a year, billionaires, people like that. I know a lot of them. And they feel like they're part of the establishment. And they say, well, I'm going to be okay. And yeah, there's some corruption. That's the way it's always been. Well, that's true. There's always been corruption. And when you decide to roll the red carpet out for it, why, it just goes hog wild. And that's now what's happened. America has cancer. And I'll get into the financial news next hour and some of your calls. I want to get into the TSA right now and then into the World War III situation, not on the horizon, but now right down the street. But before we do that, you know what? I think a video tells 1,000 words. This is a local Austin news station. When we come back, we're going to play a short clip of. Because you hear me saying that the state reps were told you're being punished and TSA grabbed their genitals and squeezed them. But that's standard. I mean, that's when they had Jesse Ventura when I was flying with him cornered. It was like a big celebration. They were all smiling. It was about their personal power in life. They don't get big paychecks or houses, but they're the types that just like to have power over people. And it was a feast when they grabbed his genitals.
1976. You're listening to the Alex Jones Show.
Yeah! Let's get some spirit going here. Now, you want to talk about pathetic. The Washington Times, LouRockwell.com, literally hundreds. Search TSA Rick Perry in a search engine right now. Hundreds of mainstream and alternative media are begging Rick Perry to save them. There's headlines like, Rick Perry is our only hope. It's like Princess Leia saying, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. And General Kenobi is no Kenobi. He's general fake conservative, make girls take a deadly Gardasil that admittedly kills them, NAFTA superhighways, but it doesn't matter. He wears a cowboy hat and has a West Texas accent. And I got to give him this. He is from Texas, not like Bush from Kennebunkport, Maine. Nothing against you if you're from Maine, but just I'm not going to move to Maine and tell you I'm from Maine and put on a Maine accent. But Rick Perry is as phony as a $3 bill. But he's got nice hair, like Schwarzenegger, and so he'll probably be the next president. And I had this from a high-level Fox News executive. I had it from a Fox News host. And I got it from Texas sources here in Austin. And we've got all this inside stuff on Rick Perry. Going back a year and a half ago, well, actually 3.5 years ago, my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, he went to Bilderberg. We covered it. We predicted he'd run for president. In the film, when did we predict? 2012, right again? Sorry. I mean, look, when you live in reality, you know what play's coming next. And I wish Rick Perry was real. And I heard local news announce earlier last week that he was going to add it to special session. But it turns out he hasn't added it. So there's all these editorials begging him to enforce already existing laws and to let Texas pass a law telling TSA you got to have probable cause, and even then you can't grab genitals. And Rick Perry's not added it. So all these state reps I've had on and state senators, they're going, well, the governor means well. I've had them on. Oh, the governor means well. He'll probably add it. Well, technically, we've introduced it. We can pass it now, and we're hoping he will. So, and then the governor's gone as far to try to put out disinfo that he's added it. He has not added the TSA anti-groping bill. Again, the FBI can't stick their hands down your pants, but the TSA says they can. And by the way, I've talked to a lot of TSA people. I do bash them a lot because of their overall direction, their power grab, their 10th Amendment states' rights violation. But every time I fly out in Austin, other places, they're shaking my hand. They're saying, we don't like it. They come out of line to tell me, hey, look, we're told to do this. And it's always the second or third TSA agent that comes over. Once you say, I don't want to be microwave ovened, I don't want to be groped, it's the boss that likes it who comes over and gets in your face. It's the administrator. So I have to say, as much as I yell and scream at the TSA, and they are guilty of following orders, just like the Nazis were at Nuremberg, I'm not saying they're bad people individually, all of them. But here is the newscast, a piece of it. News 7, Fox in Austin did a good job reporting on this. The full video is linked up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But this is News 7, Fox, here in Austin. We wrote an article about it, got widely linked out there. And here it is. In fact, let me just give you the Forbes headline after we reported on it. Forbes, AP, they all reported on it. Quote of the day, after Texas state official left sore from a TSA pat-down. And Ron Paul's been on this show. He says it's humiliating, it's disgusting, and it doesn't feel well. You've all seen the photos and video. I mean, they go up between the legs of men, and they actually check to see what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes that's a little freaky when my wife does. I mean, I hate to get graphic here, but that's a very exciting thing when you're into it. But it's when it's your wife or in the case of women, your husband. But this is people you don't know. Think about how far we've come, how far we've fallen, that I have to even get on air. I mean, 5-6 years ago, I would have thought that I was in a parallel universe of satire and absurdism if I was going to be on air. If somebody 5 years ago would have said, you're going to be on air talking about the TSA on the streets of America and at high school proms and sticking their hands in people's pants. Oh, I forgot. A year ago, it was on the outside. Now it's in the pants. Miss America, former Miss America, in Dallas, crying. They went in her pants and went in to check. And let me see, there's something there. Let me check that with some dirty glove that had searched 100-plus people into her body. And now... And I've sat there with Jesse Ventura where they're patting him down and smiling. They know he's a celebrity. They know he's not an Al-Qaeda terrorist. And then they go up between the legs, and you can read his lawsuit of what they've done. And they grab, and then they squeeze. It's like getting fruit at the grocery store to make sure it's not rotten. Let me see if that feels like what it should. This is what America has turned into. Now, here's a clip. The whole newscast is up on the local Fox station site, but here's a clip of what happened to Texas legislators when they were out of state and they were targeted and, quote, punished. Here it is.
State officials are speaking out tonight about their uncomfortable experiences at the airport recently. Some are claiming TSA agents went as far as leaving them sore in private areas. Fox 7's Camille Williams joins us live from the newsroom with the story. Camille?
Loriana, remember the bill that would limit TSA searches at the airport? Well, it's been reincarnated in special session, and we've all seen these videos right here on YouTube of people claiming that TSA agents have inappropriately touched them. Well, now top Texas officials are claiming that they've been left humiliated and even left sore.
Let me put this delicately. I was still feeling the effects of the pat-down as I sat in my seat from New Orleans to Houston and then Houston to Austin.
Barry Smitherman, chairman of the Public Utility Commission of Texas, was heading back home to Austin from New Orleans when he says he was ushered to the body scanner. He told the TSA agent he'd rather go through the metal detector.
He said, well, you don't have that choice. And I said, okay, I'm opting out. Those are the key words, right? So the TSA agent goes, opt out, we got an opt out, you know, calling everyone's attention to me.
Smitherman says it took roughly 40 minutes for the TSA agents to search through his carry-on bag piece by piece and to give him a thorough pat-down that he says was completely inappropriate.
And finally I said, you're punishing me for opting out, aren't you? And to her credit, she said, yes, we are.
State Representative Barbara Nash says she was upset after she was pulled aside for a pat-down.
She went, made me move my legs apart, and she felt down my legs and up, all the way up. And then she made me stand a little.
Let's stop right there. This may have been on Fox News locally. I can't even air what comes next. I mean, I can't even air this. I'm not comfortable because FCC harasses talk radio and not TV to even air this, okay? Now, let me explain something to you. I have laser beamed with my eyes Jesse Ventura with someone's hands between his legs, squeezing him. And that's how they all describe it. Remember, back in November, when Drudge Report took our reports and sent them out nationwide and worldwide, #1 website in the world, news site, and I had witnesses, I had video, and people couldn't believe that they were going in the pants, much less on the outside. Now it's admitted. And that's how it's described. They almost lift you off the ground. They almost lift you off the ground. I mean, they go in there, and then they go, let me check. Now, again, let's say Al-Qaeda's real, terrorism's real. You got a better chance of being stung by a honeybee and dying. I want to face the danger. And then expanding, who are these people that want to do this? Who are these people that want to do this to us? What type of folks would they hire to do that? And then you get the federal documents of the National Security Force Obama's talked about, and then you learn. They have now admitted the TSA, as I told you many years ago, is to be nationwide everywhere. They're building an army of people who will follow any order they're told, who will do anything they're told. Now, I haven't gotten into, again, the World War III news and the banking news, the financial news, what this tiny elite are doing and why all over the world they've got TSA-styled goons doing the same thing. They're training you all to be prisoners. They're training you all that you have no rights. They're attempting to break your will. Spread the word about the live transmission. We'll be back after the news. Hour number 2, straight ahead. Learn more at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. All right, I'm going to give the toll-free number out here for folks to join us if they want to get involved in this live Sunday edition. The number is 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. I know I said I'd get to calls on this Sunday edition, and I do want to get to your calls. It's just that we've been covering all of the news. And there's some good news, too, coming up. Head of ATF is likely to go. That means the Wall Street Journal reports go as leaving the Post. How about head of ATF is likely to go to jail? Because if there was justice in this country, that's where they'd go. You see, Congressman Issa last week, I'm afraid, released their internal memorandums that he'd gotten through his congressional power, through subpoenas that ATF knowingly shipped the guns to Mexico, as we told you over a year ago, to try to demonize the Second Amendment. And the head of the ATF lied in testimony and said that they did not know this was going on when they were running the whole operation. How about head of ATF is likely to go to jail instead of likely to go? You know, if I lie to the feds in a federal investigation, a lot of times, like Martha Stewart and others, they didn't do anything wrong, really, at the end of the day, but they lied in the process because they didn't want to be messed with, and so they go to jail for the lying. How about this dirtbag involved in a system to help ship thousands of guns to Mexico to then trace them to crime in Mexico and the U.S.? How about he goes to jail? How about that message is sent to government, that when you commit crimes, you go to prison? How about you get some of your own medicine? All right. I got other rants, too. A lot of them are so complex. It's not that you can't